Hey guys, Yoiston here. As I'm sure a lot of you have heard, Christopher Tolkien passed away today. So I got a suggestion to just make a video and talk a bit about it. So obviously this will be unscripted. I'm not going to monetize this, of course. It's just kind of me with my thoughts and just trying to talk to you all about it. And get my feelings out there. Obviously, it's tough, right? It's going to be hard for everybody in the Middle Earth community today. And that's why we all have this community. That's why we're all friends, and we got to be there for each other. I just finished reading The Hobbit last night, and man, I guess rereading The Hobbit, and it's just better than I remember it being. It's such a good book, and honestly, that's something about all of Tolkien's works, right? It's better every single time you read it. You're like, the first time you read it, it's great, and then you keep going and rereading, and it's really awesome. So just thinking about that, right? Thinking about how Tolkien wrote The Hobbit to be a children's story for his own kind of kids, and the impact that Christopher Tolkien had on that. I don't know. It popped into my mind today after I heard about this news. Obviously, we have so much to thank Christopher Tolkien for publishing the Silmarillion after the death of his father, J.R.R. Tolkien, in 1973. I believe he published the Silmarillion like the next year or something. And again, we have him to thank for publishing the history of Middle Earth, right? Those full 12 books, and the Children of Húrin, and the Tale of Beren and Luthien a couple years ago, and the Fall of Gondolin 2 years ago. We have him to thank for a lot, and obviously he did a lot of great stuff, but beyond just that, he was a really great man. I'll link in the description below. There's a video that I've seen of him speaking about his father, about kind of as a child. I think I shared it on Facebook a couple months ago. I'll put it in the description, and maybe I'll be able to find it and share it again on Twitter and Facebook. Just as we take today to kind of remember and memorialize and celebrate this great man as he passes on into the halls of Iluvatar. It came as a shock for sure, and as I'm sure it did for all of the Tolkien fans, because he was the son of Tolkien, and as everybody says, he was the steward of these great works of Middle Earth, right? We wouldn't know so much about the Legendarium without him. So yeah, it does hit hard. Today we'll just be remembering, and we'll be, as we're in Middle Earth, whether it's in the books, in the movies, in the games, or just thinking about it, we'll all be together, right? He was the child of the kindly West, and a really great man. He did so much for his father's works, and like I said in my timeline video, my last video, we can't forget him in what he did for the world, the fiction, the literature that we care about, So yeah, I wanted to make this video and just kind of talk a bit about him and his works and all of that. I want to look up. Let me see if I go to Tolkien Gateway, and maybe it'll have a list of kind of him, and that we can maybe talk about some of those things. I'll try to link if there's an article about him. Yep, I'll link the Tolkien Gateway article about him in the description as well. But he was 95. He had just turned 95 a couple months ago, and man, he just did so much for his family and published all of these books for his father, right? If you look, there's a whole list of books here on Tolkien Gateway, from the 1950s all the way through 2018, where he edited and helped publish, or at least got these books published. So yeah, he was a really great man, and I also wanted to make this video to give you guys kind of this comment section, this discussion below, so you guys can, we can all come together as a community and mourn this legendary man as he passes away, or passed away. But yeah, well, I don't want to make this go on for too long, but I don't know. I didn't really have a big thesis or anything going into this video. I just wanted to say that as a Tolkien fan, and as somebody who wasn't alive when J.R.R. Tolkien was, it definitely saddens me to hear about his passing, but I'll always remember him as a great man. I was thinking about this the other night, and when I was in, I think it was like 5th grade or something, there was a project we had to do. It was like talk about, do research on your most inspiring person, or somebody that inspires you who has since passed away. And I did my project on J.R.R. Tolkien back in 5th grade, and and I learned a lot about him. And again, so much of that continued and will always continue within his son Christopher Tolkien. At the I was reading the 50th edition of The Hobbit, and at the beginning there was like a foreword written by Christopher Tolkien, where he's talking about how during some of the early chapters with The Hobbit, that Tolkien was trying to tell his children, right, about Thorin and the dwarves coming into Bag End for the first time. It was like, at one point he had this colored tassel. It was like a gold tassel, and the door to Bag End was blue. And then the next time he told it, the tassel was silver and the door was green. And Christopher Tolkien was like, hey, wait a minute, you said last time that it was this color and now it's this color. And you're right, you get Christopher Tolkien talking about how J.R.R. Tolkien said, drat the boy or whatever, and just had to make a note and was like, okay, well, I'll fix that or remember that. Again, the deeds of a man, it just makes me think about all of this. The deeds of a man are so heavily influenced by his family, and a woman, of course, of any person. The deeds of a person are so heavily influenced by a man, or by that person's family, by their children especially. So a lot of what a person will do is for their kids, and we see that with the works with J.R.R. Tolkien, right? How he wrote The Hobbit, and originally it was kind of like a bedtime story for his children, and Christopher Tolkien among them. So yeah, I mean, we just will always have to honor his legacy for the man he was, and for what he did for not only the works, but for the world in general. He preserved the works of his father. He was a dutiful man and son, and I'm sure husband and father, and all of these other wonderful things. And as projects move forward after his passing, because he was this number one steward, the number one guardian of Middle Earth and the Legendarium. As we move forward, we have to take up that stewardship, right? We have to call out the projects that, or the people, or whatever it is. We have to make sure, if it's not aligned with the themes of Tolkien's works, if it's disrespectful to what Tolkien and his son and what they would have wanted, we have to steward that. We have to be guardians. I don't want to see Middle-earth, The Hobbit, Silmarillion, The Lord of the Rings cheapened because the steward has now passed away. In some sense, right, he's passed on into all of us, and we have to take up the duty and the responsibility that comes with protecting the fiction and the writing that we all love so much, with protecting the world and the characters that we all love so much, right? We can't let anything happen to them and the legacy of the Tolkien family, So I guess that's it. I mean, again, I don't want this to be, too long of a video or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to talk it out. And yeah, we have a lot to owe to J.R.R. Tolkien, of course, but of course also we can never forget about his son, a great man, and a great, the dutiful and fantastic son. He'll always be remembered. He's a friend of all of us, and he will live on within all of us. So, yep, just remember him as we as we are in Middle Earth today, and as we are in Middle Earth continuing forward. Without him, we wouldn't have the Silmarillion, and we wouldn't have a lot of the stories that we probably wouldn't even have really any of them, because maybe Tolkien wouldn't have written them, you know? Or he wouldn't have written them in the same way, and obviously they wouldn't have all been published as they are without him. So here's to Christopher Tolkien today, and forever onwards. January 16th, 2020. It'll always be remembered it'll be remembered for him, as well as his birthday. But we'll always remember him, and especially on this day, moving forward into the future and all of that. So, my friends, thank you all for joining me today. Just keep Christopher Tolkien, the great man that he was, in your thoughts. I'll keep him in mind for sure. And yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I think that's all I really wanted to say. It's just, the themes that are in Tolkien's works, all of the themes that I always talk about at the end of my videos, so many of them live on and are strengthened because of him, because of the man that Christopher Tolkien was. So always remember, respect, and honor that man and what he stood for, the guardianship and the stewardship of his father's works as a responsibility that we all have to take on. So, my friends, as always, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for going on the adventures with me. Again, I always say it, but I'm just another Tolkien fan. I have a microphone, and I'm just another Tolkien fan. I'm honored, and I'm glad to be a part of this Men of the West Middle Earth community, and I'll do anything to preserve it and to honor Tolkien and his son in all of my videos and anything I do with this community and with this channel. So thank you all so much for the support, for the respect, and for the love, right? Be kind to each other, and be kind to each other in the comment sections, and as we mourn the passing of this legendary man. I'll see you all again on Sunday with a new Middle Earth video, as always. And until then, my friends, take care, and thank you all.